The elevator dinged with its usual mechanical cheer as Ava Khan stepped onto the 27th floor of Atlas Freight Global ***. She adjusted the plain gray cardigan over her smart blouse and clutched her coffee cup like a shield. Around her, the office hummed to life. Keyboards clacked, screens flickered, and the air smelled of burnt coffee and silent desperation. Most people in this office tried not to be seen. Ava had become an expert at it. She passed the glass wall of Derek Vaughn's corner office. As usual, the CEO was reclined in his chair like a king on a throne, laughing far too loudly into his Bluetooth earpiece. His navy suit looked like it cost more than her monthly rent. 2 interns stood nearby with notepads, nodding with the terrified eagerness of those desperate to keep their jobs. "Morning, Ava," whispered Priya, the quietly brilliant systems engineer Ava often sat with at lunch. "Barely," Ava replied, managing a smile. "Another day, another load of files no one reads." She returned to her cubicle, tucked between the accounts team and the mailroom, a small, forgotten corner of the building. It suited her fine. Obscurity had been her shield for almost 3 years. Because Ava Khan wasn't just a low-level data analyst, she was a secret. Her late mother, Nadira Khan, was one of Atlas Freight's earliest investors, a visionary who'd bet everything on the company when it was still operating from a rented warehouse and fax machines. When Nadira died in a car accident, her 22-year-old daughter had inherited something unexpected, a silent trust tied to majority ownership of the company. But there was a catch. The trust wouldn't activate until Ava turned 25, and only if she was still employed by Atlas. So she took the lowest position she could find, worked quietly, never asked for more, and let everyone, especially Derek Vaughn, think she was just another replaceable cog in his empire. As she sipped her coffee and opened her inbox, Ava spotted an email titled **** confirmation, Friday, midnight activation from Elias Grant, ESQ, ***. She exhaled. 3 more days. Just 3 more days of playing small. 3 more days of walking past Derek's smug face and pretending she didn't know what he really was. The sound of a loud fake laugh cut across the room. Derek had emerged from his office, arms outstretched like he was performing on stage. He strolled through the floor, stopping now and then to compliment someone's tie or joke about budget cuts. In that charmingly cruel way he thought made him relatable. Then he stopped, right in front of her. "Ava Khan," he said loudly, "come with me." Everyone looked up. Even Priya's eyes widened. Ava stood slowly. Her heart began to pound, but she kept her face blank. "Yes, Mr. Vaughn," he smiled. "Just a quick chat in the boardroom." Something in his voice told her this wouldn't be quick or polite. As she followed him, one thought cut through the fog in her mind. ***3 days. I just need to survive 3 more days. The boardroom was colder than usual, not just from the overpowered air conditioning, but the tension that pulsed through the long, polished table like electricity. Ava stepped inside behind Derek Vaughn, her steps measured, her heart a roaring drum in her chest. She noticed Lena Crane, the CFO, sitting near the head of the table. Her icy smile didn't reach her eyes. Most of the executive team was already seated. A few middle managers, HR reps, and even 2 interns stood awkwardly in the corners, clutching tablets. Ava frowned. Why so many people? Derek clapped his hands. "Thanks for gathering, everyone. This won't take long." He turned to face the room, arms spread like he was hosting a game show. "Before we move forward with our quarterly updates, there's one matter I need to address, an unpleasant one." He paced slowly, theatrically. "It's about trust, about integrity, and about how we handle violations of our company's code of conduct." Ava felt the eyes, dozens of them, heavy and expectant. Then Derek turned to her and dropped the smile. Ava Khan has been terminated for breaching our internal data policies. Effective immediately. Gasps erupted across the room. Ava blinked, her body locked in place. Her brain struggled to catch up with the weight of the words. This wasn't a private termination. This was a public execution. "What breach?" Ava finally managed. Derek pulled out a folder far too conveniently and held it high. "According to our IT logs, Ava attempted unauthorized access to confidential files in our executive servers last week. The logs don't lie. A lie, a manufactured one. She had never touched anything above her clearance. This is a misunderstanding. Ava said carefully. There's been no breach. I've done nothing wrong. Derek leaned in with mock sympathy. Ava, I really wanted to believe in you, but the evidence speaks volumes. And in a company this size, one misstep like this puts everything at risk. Lena piped up, crossing her arms. We'll be conducting a full audit, of course, but per policy, security is on its way to escort you off the premises. It was then Ava understood. Asterisk they knew, or they suspected. Asterisk maybe they had found out about her shareholding. Maybe they just wanted to humiliate her before she could act. Either way, they were making a show of destroying her. She looked around the room. No one said a word. Not the managers she helped. Not the interns she mentored. Not the HR lady who once cried in her cubicle and thanked Ava for covering that silence. Ava turned to Derek. I want everything in writing. You'll be hearing from my counsel. Derek's grin widened, of course. We believe in documentation here. 2 security guards appeared at the door. One of them, Sam, looked at her apologetically. I'm sorry, Ava, he whispered. She nodded stiffly. Let me pack my things. No need, Derek said. We've already cleared your desk. Ava flinched. So this had been in motion for days. As she walked through the rows of desks, past the people who couldn't meet her eyes, she held her head high. Inside, rage simmered under her skin, cold and precise. She passed Priya, whose eyes were full of disbelief and fury. Wait for my call, Ava whispered under her breath as she passed. Once in the elevator, the doors slid shut and only then did she let her expression fall. Her phone buzzed. A message from Elias Grant lit up her lock screen. We have what we need. Don't panic. We move on Thursday. Ava exhaled. Just once. They thought they'd won. They didn't know the company they ran, the one they just publicly fired her from, was already hers, 3 years earlier. The walls of Elias Grant's law office had smelled faintly of cedar and lemon oil. Ava remembered sitting across from the elder lawyer in stunned silence, the weight of her mother's passing still pressing against her ribs, like a boulder she couldn't shift. Elias, calm and silver-haired, had slid a leather folder across the polished table. This, he said gently, is your mother's legacy. And soon, it will be yours. Inside was a copy of a confidential shareholder agreement, one that changed everything. Nadira Khan, Atlas Freight's quietest founder, had been a visionary. When the company went public, she'd converted her original stake into a ** sealed trust, reserving 51% of voting shares ** for her daughter. But Nadira didn't trust the corporate vultures. Not Derek Vaughn, not the board, not even Ava herself. Not yet. The trust had 3 conditions. 1. Ava must work within the company for at least 2 continuous years. Point 2. She must remain employed on the day she turns 25.3. No one outside Elias and a secretive oversight committee could know. If they find out too soon, Elias had warned, they'll find a way to push you out, or worse. And so, Ava became anonymous. She applied through a fake recruiter, using an old resume with no mention of her degree from MIT. She took a job beneath her skill. She kept her head down, played the role of an ordinary analyst, and endured 3 years of invisibility, 3 years of being talked over in meetings, skipped for promotions, and left off group photos, 3 years of listening to Derek's ego inflate, to Lena's smug lectures on lean operations that really just meant pay cuts. But Ava had watched, and learned, and waited. Now, as she stood in her apartment, the same one she'd lived in since college, she opened the encrypted flash drive Elias had given her. Inside were the original trust documents, notarized and bulletproof, along with a digital copy of the board's bylaws, company bylaws that Derek and Lena clearly hadn't read recently. Section 14, * in the event of a shareholder attaining majority control. Said holder may call an emergency board meeting with 72 hours notice, provided the shares have been certified by legal counsel and voting rights confirmed. Ava smiled. They had fired her on a Monday. Her birthday was Thursday. They'd miscalculated badly. She clicked open her secure messaging app and typed a single word to Elias, greater than confirmed. The reply came seconds later, greater than happy early birthday, Miss Khan. The company is almost yours. That night, Ava stood by her window, looking out over the flickering skyline. Somewhere across the city, Derek was probably toasting his victory, oblivious to what he had just handed her on a silver platter. Let him celebrate, she thought. Thursday will burn. Wednesday morning arrived, heavy with humidity and tension. Ava sat across from Elias Grant in his downtown office, her palms flat against the cool surface of his glass desk. Behind him, floor-to-ceiling windows offered a sweeping view of the city, and somewhere amid the steel towers stood Atlas, Freight Global still blind to the storm approaching. They were sloppy, Elias said, flipping through a printed packet of evidence. They thought firing you would invalidate the trust, but they didn't check the employee roster timestamp. Ava raised an eyebrow. I was fired at 9:04 a.m. He nodded. But payroll runs at midnight. You were still officially listed as an employee on your 25th birthday. That's all the trust needed. She leaned back, feeling a tight knot of anxiety slowly loosen in her chest. So, it's really mine. Elias closed the folder and met her eyes. You now control 51% of Atlas Freight. You have legal grounds to call an emergency board meeting and remove Derek Vaughn or anyone else with cause. Ava exhaled. I want to do it right, she said. Not just take power, but clean house. No secrets, no retaliation. Real reform. Elias smiled. Just like your mother. That caught her off guard. Ava hadn't let herself think of Ned much in the past few years, not without guilt or sadness, or the longing for one more conversation. But now, her mother's voice echoed in her mind. Power is a mirror, Ava. It shows people who they are. And Ava had no intention of becoming a Derek Vaughn. She pulled out a notepad and began jotting down her plan. 1. Call emergency board meeting for Thursday at 10 a.m. 2. Bring documented proof of majority share ownership. 3. Prepare financial audit materials. 4. Loop in trustworthy internal allies. Quietly. 5. Record everything. Do you think they'll fight it? She asked Elias. He gave her a wry look. They'll try. Derek's the type who thinks he's untouchable. And Lena, she's worse. Quiet, calculating, and terrified of being exposed. But don't worry, they're playing checkers, you're playing chess. Later that evening, Ava sat in her tiny kitchen, phone in hand, staring at the contact list she'd carefully built over the past 3 years. People who mattered, people she'd helped, people who knew something wasn't right inside Atlas. Priya Patel was first. The engineer picked up after 2 rings. Ava, I need a favor, Ava said. And your discretion, you got it. After what they pulled on Monday, I'm in. What's going on? I'll explain everything tomorrow. For now, can you get me access to the internal security archives from the last quarter? Silence, then, a short laugh. You're going after him, aren't you? I'm going after all of it. By midnight, a quiet operation had begun. Through encrypted apps and late-night messages, Ava coordinated with Milo Chen, the young IT intern she once mentored. He was brilliant, but often overlooked, and more loyal to Ava than anyone realized. Milo, greater than I've been tracking Derek's device logins for weeks, something shady on his USB. Want me to look deeper, Ava, greater than yes. Quietly, Milo, greater than always. She smiled. They were ready. Thursday wasn't just about revenge. It wasn't even about justice. It was about truth, the kind that shatters illusions, exposes rot, and brings light into even the darkest boardrooms. Ava sat down at her laptop and opened a blank document titled ****The New Atlas, Internal Reform Roadmap. And beneath the title, she wrote, it starts with honesty. It ends with everyone standing or falling on what they've built. She clicked save. In 12 hours, everything would change. The mood inside Atlas Freight Global on Thursday morning was off. It started subtly. An unusual hush in the break room. Quick glances exchanged between departments. People stepping out of meetings, whispering on phones, avoiding eye contact by 9 a.m. The tension had crystallized into something almost tangible. Even the ever-animated Derek Vaughn hadn't done his usual walk-round. Instead, he'd locked himself in his office since 8:30, pacing like a lion in a cage. A single slip of paper sat on his desk, bold, simple, and impossible to ignore. Greater than *** bylaws, Section 14. Emergency board meeting. 10 a.m. conference room. Ava Khan. Lena Crane stood beside him, arms folded tightly. Who's advising her? Lena hissed. This isn't just some tantrum. She knows the bylaws. She's invoking them perfectly. Derek scoffed, though his forehead was beading with sweat. She's a glorified intern. She doesn't have the spine. She doesn't have the leverage. But even he didn't sound convinced. He'd received a second email that morning, untraceable, with a PDF attachment. It was a scan of a notarized shareholder certificate, bearing the name Ava Nadira Khan, and the number 51.2% next to the word ownership. Impossible, Derek muttered. That stake was dissolved years ago. No, Lena corrected, dread growing in her voice. It was absorbed quietly, through her mother. You didn't pay attention when Nadira passed. You let legal handle it. She's been embedded this whole time. Elsewhere on the 27th floor, a different kind of current flowed. Milo Chen sat in the server room, his hoodie up, fingers flying over his keyboard. Ava had given him one task: find what's on Derek's USB. What he uncovered was damning Bacchanal transfers to offshore accounts, dozens of fake contractor payments, and evidence that Derek had been double billing Atlas vendors for nearly a year. He encrypted it, saved it to a secure drive, and sent it to Priya Patel, who sat quietly in a cubicle just 3 rows from Derek's glass office, pretending to work. She opened the file, eyes narrowing as she scanned line after line of spreadsheet evidence. It's worse than we thought. She texted Ava. Ava, greater than enough to make the board listen. Priya, more than enough. At 9:40 a.m., Ilias arrived. .com/briefcase in hand and was issued a guest badge without question. No one stopped him as he walked to the executive conference room and began setting up his materials. At 9:50, Ava entered the building. She wore black slacks, a navy blazer, and a calm, controlled look that made more than a few heads turn. Those who had seen her dragged out on Monday now whispered from behind cubicle walls as she walked past, head high, eyes forward. She's back. Did she win a lawsuit already? Is she calling a board meeting? Even the receptionist didn't know what to say. As Ava passed without a word, she entered conference room A at 9:55. Inside, silence, leather chairs, tension. The full board had arrived. Derek and Lena too. Priya and Milo sat quietly near the end, pretending to take notes. Elias stood beside the projection screen, smiling faintly. Ava took her seat at the head of the table. She folded her hands, looked around, and said clearly, without tremble or hesitation, let's begin. The room sat frozen as Ava's voice echoed, let's begin. The silence lasted a beat too long. Then Derek laughed, sharp, performative, meant to rattle. This is absurd, he said, gesturing to the board. We're indulging a fired analyst's fantasy. I don't know what legal stunt you're trying to pull, Ava, but you were terminated. Ava didn't blink. She nodded toward Ilias, who opened his briefcase and pulled out a thick manila folder. Mr. Vaughn, Ilias said calmly, Ms. Khan's termination on Monday was both procedurally and contractually invalid. She remained on payroll until the midnight cycle processed, which fell on her 25th birthday, but single timestamp triggers a change in Atlas Freight's ownership structure. He placed a signed, certified copy of the shareholder trust on the table. The Atlas board members leaned in, expressions tightening as the realization began to dawn. Elias continued, Ms. Khan now holds 51.2% of all voting shares, as per the trust established by her late mother Nadira Khan, an original founder of this company. More silence, then gasps. Someone at the far end of the table muttered, that explains the name. Ava spoke again, voice steady. For 3 years, I worked here quietly, while Vaughn and Crane ran this place like a private club. I kept my head down, as required by the trust's terms, until the moment arrived to act. She stood and walked to the projector screen, where Elias clicked to the first slide. Slide 1. Company Financial Ledger. FY 2023 marked in red. Over $3.4 million in unexplained vendor payments. Slide 2. USB access logs. Derek Vaughn Milo Chen, RIT intern, retrieved these from your device. Derek, she said. Encrypted USB files, shell company invoices, all routed through a Cayman account under a fake supplier name, Vintech Solutions. Derek's face paled. That's a fabrication, he snapped. Milo, Ava said. The young intern stood up, swallowing nervously. No sir, it's all real. You even used the same password for 3 accounts. A few of the board members chuckled, then stopped, realizing the weight of what was happening. Slide 3. Internal memo. CFO Lena Crane to CEO Vaughn emailed, weeks ago, It read, "Audit won't pick it up until Q4. By then, we'll have it buried. If Ava resists, we push her out before her birthday." Lena flinched. She turned to Derek. "You said it was safe to use internal servers. You used company servers to conspire to defraud the company," barked Mr. Langdon, the head of the audit committee. "Security is reviewing it now," Elias said. "But I recommend we address the immediate issue first. Executive leadership." Derek slammed his palm on the table. "You'd think you can come in here, embarrass me, and expect this board to bend to you." "I don't expect it," Ava said quietly. "I own it." She took out a prepared resolution and laid it down. *** motion to remove Derek Vaughn as CEO of Atlas Freight Global *** effective immediately. Motion to place Lena Crane under internal investigation for breach of fiduciary duty and obstruction. There was a pause, then a quiet voice said, "Seconded," another, third, and then the cascade followed, hands raised, heads nodding. The motion passed unanimously. Derek stood there, stunned, shoulders slumped, fury twisting his mouth. "You'll regret this," he muttered. "You think they'll follow you? You're just a kid with a name." Ava leaned forward, her voice low and razor sharp. "I'm the kid with the power and the receipts." Security stepped in quietly. The same guard who had escorted Ava out on Monday now stood beside Derek. "Mr. Vaughn," he said, "they'd like you to leave the premises." As Derek was led out of the boardroom, red-faced and silent, Ava looked around at the stunned executives, the once silent staff members now sitting straighter in their chairs, the hum of rebirth just beginning. "This company deserves better," she said, "and starting today, we give it better." By noon, the entire 27th floor buzzed like a shaken beehive. The news spread faster than wildfire. Derek Vaughn had been removed as CEO. Ava Khan, the analyst no one paid attention to, had taken over. Some said she was a secret investor. Others thought it was a prank. Most just stood frozen, trying to process the fallout of what they'd witnessed. Inside the executive boardroom, Ava remained poised. She knew this wasn't over, because even as Derek was escorted out, Lena Crane had stayed seated, her face unreadable, her mind clearly running a mile a minute. She hadn't said a word during the vote, no protests, no excuses, but Ava had known the silence wasn't surrender, it was strategy. Now, as the board members exited the room, shaking hands with Elias and offering Ava cautious congratulations, Lena rose slowly and adjusted her blazer. "You think this ends with Derek?" she said coolly. "You still have a company to run, one that's bleeding money, tied up in vendor disputes, and stretched thin on logistics compliance. You've made a spectacle, but now the spotlight is on you." Ava didn't flinch. "Then, I'll handle it, with honesty, not arrogance." Lena's lip twitched. "Good luck, you'll need it." She left the room, and Elias stepped beside Ava, eyes still on the door. "She's not done," he said softly. "I know." Back in her now vacant cubicle, Priya Patel sat stunned. She hadn't moved for 15 minutes. Her fingers rested over her keyboard. UNMOVING. Milo walked over with a cup of coffee. "Hey," he said, handing it to her. "You okay?" Priya looked up, dazed. "I worked here for 7 years. I designed their cloud infrastructure, and I always thought I had to play small to survive." "Ava, she just burned the whole lie down." "She didn't burn it," Milo said. "She reclaimed it." A notification popped on both their screens. Greater than *** internal, company-wide meeting, 2:30 p.m. to main hall *** greater than subject, leadership transition, and vision statement greater than *** presented by Ava Khan, CEO majority shareholder **. Milo grinned. "Showtime." Meanwhile, on the 15th floor, in a high-gloss private conference room Derek used for external pitches, Lena met with 2 shadowy figures from legal and finance. "She's got control," one whispered. "Fully legal. Auditors are waking up. We need an exit strategy," the other said. "No," Lena snapped. "We need a reset." They looked confused. "She's new. She doesn't know what's buried under the floorboards yet. She thinks this was about Derek's arrogance. But she hasn't seen how deep Atlas's rot really goes." "Are you suggesting I'm saying we push her? We leak reports about instability. Employees are already nervous. Investors panic easily. If we can't control the throne anymore, we'll poison the ground beneath it." Lena stood. "Let her sit on her pretty little empire. We'll make sure it crumbles from within." At 2:30 sharp, Ava stood in front of the assembled company in the glass-walled main hall. Dozens of employees lined the walls, others watching on screen from branch offices. Priya stood near the projector. Milo adjusted the mic. Ava stepped up to the podium, dressed in navy and white, simple and confident. Some of you may be confused by the events of this morning, she began. Some of you may even be afraid. A murmur rippled through the crowd. I understand. Because I've worked among you. I've listened to your stories. I've watched good people get passed over, ignored, and mistreated. I've seen this company drift away from what it was supposed to be. She paused. Well, it stops today. A slideshow played behind her. Not just numbers, but faces. Employees who'd been quietly removed. Projects that were shelved due to internal politics. Anonymous. Quotes from staff surveys that had never been read. I'm not here to take revenge, she said. I'm here to rebuild. To make this a company where no one has to whisper their worth. Where no one hides behind fear. As the applause slowly built, tentative but growing, Ava smiled. She wasn't naive. She knew Lena was still moving behind the scenes, that others in the old regime would try to undermine her. But it didn't matter, because now the game had changed, and she was writing the rules. The applause from Ava's company-wide address still echoed in the halls. But deep below that, surface buzz, resistance brewed. By Friday morning, signs of sabotage had already begun to creep in. Emails went missing. Access permissions inexplicably revoked. A shipment of crucial server parts, ordered weeks ago, was suddenly lost in transit. The logistics division claimed a vendor pulled out due to instability in leadership. Ava wasn't surprised. It was Lena's handiwork. She met with Elias and Priya early that morning in the executive briefing room. She's trying to make you look incompetent, Priya said bluntly. Break enough systems and it'll seem like you're the problem. She's hoping to shake investor confidence, Elias added. If the stock dips hard enough, the minority board might pressure you to relinquish control for the company's good. Ava closed her eyes briefly. She had expected retaliation, but not this fast. Or this precise. We need to root her out, she said. I want her off the board. Elias nodded. Then we'll need irrefutable evidence. Misconduct, fraud, conspiracy, anything she did with Derek that stuck to her hands. I may have something, Priya said, opening her laptop. Remember the internal memo she sent Derek about hiding the audit delays? Yes, well, I backtracked the metadata. That memo was saved from an external drive, not Atlas servers. I traced that drive's fingerprint to a device registered to her home network. She's been doing double books from outside. Ava leaned forward, meaning the real books are somewhere we haven't looked. Exactly, Priya said. Milo's working on decrypting that data now. If it's what we think, she's cooked. Meanwhile, Lena Crane stood in her private glass office, staring down at the city with the tumbler of whiskey in one hand. Her assistant knocked. Your noon meeting with Hudson Capital. Cancel it, she said flatly. The assistant hesitated. They said it's urgent. I said cancel it. As the door closed, Lena turned back to her tablet. News alerts were already popping up. Greater than asterisk, Atlas Freight names new CEO aftershock. Leadership ousting. Greater than whistleblower becomes majority shareholder in unexpected turnaround. Greater than Khan dynasty returns. Daughter of co-founder takes helm asterisk. Lena sneered returns. As if Ava had ever left. She clicked on an old folder marked NDK Trust Reminders. Inside were a series of emails, notes, even grainy surveillance photos of Ava from her early days, gathered quietly, never shared. Derek had scoffed at her paranoia, but Lena had always known Nadira Khan's daughter would be trouble. And now she was at storm. Lena opened a secure line to an external contact. I need leverage, she said. Dig up everything you can on Ava Khan. Personal, financial, academic, start with MIT. Look for professors. She crossed ex-boyfriend's lawsuits. I don't care if it's petty. Bring me something I can use. A pause. And do it fast. This empire won't run itself. By afternoon, Milo had what they needed. He burst into Ava's office, for once, not knocking, not hesitating. We found it. It's all here. He plugged in his flash drive and projected the files. 2 sets of books. The first, the fake financials, Atlas Freight had shown the board. The second, the real numbers, including hidden losses, improper bonuses, and a $6.2 million transfer to a company tied to Lena's brother-in-law. She's been funneling money through a shell distributor in Morocco. Milo explained. They inflated fuel prices, then skimmed the top. Elias stared, stunned. This is more than a paper trail. It's a roadmap to prison. Ava nodded. We take this to the board immediately. I'm done playing fair. The Emergency Ethics Committee convened within the hour. Lena walked in last, still wearing her perfect navy suit, still sipping a fresh cup of coffee, as if none of this touched her. Ava stood at the head of the table and began to speak. Calm, clear, no theatrics. She laid out the double books, the personal kickbacks, the Morocco Shell Company. She played a recording taken earlier that week by Priya of Lena telling Derek, if Ava resists, we bury her reputation. Use the old PR team if we have to. The board loves a clean image. Lena didn't blink. But when Ava placed a motion for her removal from the board and recommendation for federal investigation, Lena's eyes finally flickered. No one seconded. For a breathless moment, it seemed like fear might win. Then Langdon, the oldest board member, slowly raised his hand. I second. Hands followed, one by one. Motion passed. Lena's reign was over, as she was led out, not in cuffs, but in disgrace. Ava turned to the board. This isn't revenge, she said. It's correction. The boardroom had never felt so quiet. With Lena gone, the atmosphere shifted, not just in temperature, but in spirit. It was as if the walls themselves were exhaling. The weight that had pressed down on Atlas Freight for years had finally lifted. But Ava knew that clearing out rot was only the beginning. She turned toward the remaining board members. I won't pretend the road ahead is smooth, she said. The truth is, we've inherited a broken structure. Atlas has been surviving on reputation and momentum, not vision. That ends now. Elias sat silently behind her, proud. Priya stood near the door, arms crossed, guarding the silence with resolve. Milo watched from the corner, a quiet fire in his eyes. One of the younger board members, Ms. Delgado, leaned forward. What are you proposing, Ava? She took a breath. Complete restructuring of how this company treats its people, its partners, and its future. I want transparency. I want every employee to know their work means something. I want innovation again, not internal sabotage and corporate theatrics. She walked to the screen and tapped to reveal her proposal. Project Nader, the Atlas, Reset, named after her mother. 3 main initiatives, she explained. 1. Ethics first culture. Every department will be audited by an independent third party. No one will be exempt, including myself. 2. Merit-based advancement. A blind review promotion system that ensures opportunity based on results, not favoritism or office politics. 3. Shared equity plan. All employees from janitors to engineers will be eligible for equity shares annually. This company rises with the people who build it. There was a pause, then murmurs of approval. Heads nodding. Ms. Delgado smiled. Ambitious, said Mr. Langdon, but exactly what we need. The vote came quickly. Unanimous support. Ava had not only seized control, she'd earned it. That evening, Ava stood alone in her late mother's office, which had sat locked and untouched since Nadira's death. She'd asked facilities to unseal it that morning. The room was filled with light, wide windows, a single oak desk, soft gold accents. But what Ava noticed most were the walls. Photos of ships, workers, engineers, terminals, not boardrooms or luxury retreats. Her mother had once said, a company is only as good as the lives it improves. Ava sat down at the desk. There, tucked beneath a small paperweight, was a handwritten note in her mother's flowing script. Greater than if you're reading this, then you made it. I knew you would. Greater than power isn't the prize, Ava. What you do with it is. Keep your hands clean, and your heart loud. Greater than. Mom, tears welled in her eyes. Not from sadness, from peace, from clarity, from a love that still guided her. Even now, she folded the letter and slipped it into her blazer pocket. Downstairs, as employees trickled out of the building, the energy was unlike anything they'd felt in years. Someone in finance whispered, "Did you hear about the new equity plan? They say we're getting bonuses back." Finally, someone who actually listens. Even the night shift janitor paused at the front lobby, staring up at the newly hung photo of Nadira and Ava Khan side by side, beneath the company's mission plaque. He smiled, whispered, "About time," and pushed his mop cart onward. Meanwhile, in a hotel across the city, Derek Vaughan nursed a drink in the dark, watching Ava's leadership announcement on TV. She played you, his brother muttered. You underestimated her. Derek scoffed, bitter. No, I didn't underestimate her. I just didn't think she'd fight. He turned off the screen. But even in silence, her face lingered. She has it now, he said. Let's see if she can keep it. Here is your final chapter, chapter 10 of the story. 6 months later, the lobby of Atlas Freight Global had transformed. Where once there were cold granite walls and brushed steel that echoed power but not purpose, now stood walls lined with photographs of employees, plaques for community partners, and a digital ticker that read, **** people first, purpose always. Avacon, ***. The energy inside the company had shifted from tension to trust. Ava moved through the floors differently now, not as a shadow, not as someone pretending to belong, but as a leader with nothing to hide. She made unannounced visits to departments, sat in on brainstorming sessions, and listened more than she spoke. The whispered surprise that once followed her had evolved into visible respect. That morning, Ava hosted a quarterly town hall, streamed company-wide. She stood in the same auditorium where Derek had once given bloated speeches about profit margins, and she began with a simple phrase, "Greater than we said we'd rebuild." And we meant it. Behind her, slides showed measurable impact. Employee satisfaction up 62%, vendor partnerships renewed, internal promotions up 45%, zero ethics violations in the last quarter, stock price stabilized and climbing. The most emotional moment came when she introduced a new annual initiative, the Nadira Khan Fellowship, a paid internship program for underrepresented students in tech and logistics. She paused as a standing ovation echoed around her. That was her mother's legacy, not control, not revenge, opportunity. Later that afternoon, Ava visited Elias Grant's office. He had announced his retirement last month, citing his desire to spend more time in the mountains. Still sharpened, still formal, Elias had guided Ava through fire, and now he was letting go with quiet pride. He handed her a leather folder. "What's this?" Ava asked, flipping it open. "The final dissolution of the trust. You fulfilled every clause. It's yours outright now." She hesitated. "I don't know if I want to own it all." Elias smiled. "Then give it away. That's what power is for." She closed the folder. "Then I'll start with Milo and Priya." He raised a brow. "The hacker and the engineer." She grinned. "The heart of the operation." As she rode the elevator down, Ava took a moment to breathe, something she rarely allowed herself during the storm. But it wasn't a storm anymore. It was a season, and this season had ended in growth. Her phone buzzed with a notification. Greater than public statement released by former CEO Derek Vaughan. Curious, she opened it. Derek had issued a formal apology, no lawsuits, no bitter counters, just a dry PR-crafted statement taking full responsibility for past actions and respecting the company's new direction. It felt hollow, and yet final. She locked her phone and stepped out into the lobby. That evening, Ava walked to the rooftop garden, a new addition, funded by cutting executive bonuses. It was quiet there, the sky tinged with the last gold of dusk. She stood near the edge, staring out at the skyline. Priya joined her, 2 coffees in hand. "You did it," Priya said, handing her one. "You actually did it." Ava smiled. "No, we did it." They stood in silence for a long while. Finally, Priya asked, "What now?" Ava sipped her coffee, eyes soft. "Now we protect it. Now we grow it. Now we lead with the kind of strength they never understood." Below them, the city pulsed with light and promise. Ava Khan had reclaimed her family's legacy, but more importantly, she had rewritten what legacy meant. Not domination, not vengeance, but dignity, justice, and vision. And for the first time in a long time, she wasn't chasing survival, she was building the future.